Today, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about an annoying, dumb, stupid, but mechanic that I hate. I hate it. It is the concept of getting knocked down. Now, I hope in Total War Warhammer 3 this will be fixed, but this video will hopefully show why knockdowns currently do not work at all in Total War Warhammer 2. So in any other, well, first we'll get this big charge bonus with a lot of things. Hits Marcus, knocks him down. And then you run over him, and run over him again, and get kind of staggered, and then you can resume attack. And that is to showcase one of the biggest problems for getting knocked down in this game is very few units in the game have a way of dealing with knocked down entities. They don't have an attack animation for when you're on the ground. Whereas in any other game, in a fighting game, in Dungeons and Dragons type games, in basic knowledge of how fights work, you don't want to be on the ground, you're vulnerable to your opponent. But for some reason, Total War Warhammer, when you're knocked down is a weird time of invulnerability. Now this can be good if you're a character that's trying to survive. It can be bad if you're a character like Queek, who is trying to deal damage, so he needs uptime. Well, we can see on the charge, Sartorial knocks him down. It's not surprising. Sartorial's huge and it does a charge bonus. Then a weird rolling animation. That's not really the point we're here for. Another charge attack, knocks him down. Then it just walks around him while he's down. Another kind of janky thing, where you think you would just hit him while he's down. Another hit, knocks him down. And it's just very, and then he flies at him again. It's just, it makes a very janky, not cinematic, not smooth feeling experience. And most of the game, certain lords are going to be on the ground. But why does that matter? Like, cool, Skaven lords get knocked down. Yay. Good point, human boy, you dumb idiot. Well, the problem is it's not intuitive. And I talked about this in my good unit design versus bad unit design, and that video got downvoted to hell because I didn't explain my point very clearly. But what I consider good unit design is being able to look at something and guess how it's going to go. So, see here, Skrull got knocked over on the charge, but I fast-forwarded through it because that's not that surprising. He also gets kind of staggered on an attack, gets knocked over by another attack. Alright, cool. So Skaven, tiny foot lords, get knocked down over and over again. We saw that with Marcus Wolfhard as well. Cool, alright, it's consistent. Human boy, why are you being all salty? If it's consistent, Footlords get knocked down all the time. Sure, that makes them tankier. Sure, there's no attack animation while something's on the ground. That might be a little janky, but on the whole, Footlords perform the same. Well, no. So there's a good Footlord in the game. That is Prince Siggy. Siggy gets knocked down on the charge. But then why is Sigvald good? Why is he considered such a good lord? Why is he so tanky? Why can he fight anything? Well, it's because Sigvald never gets knocked down after that. He'll just stand here and fight this whole time. And the thing you notice about Sigvald is how simple his animations are. He just stands there and swings. Whereas you saw with Queek, he was trying to do all these dives and rolls past other characters. And we'll also get back to that. But it is so weird that all of a sudden this character, who is still much smaller than Sartorial, will never get knocked over, while other characters will. Part of the reason this is because of a stat behind the scenes that I think Houseplant is probably the best person to ask about these sorts of things because he knows all the stats for everything. But it's a number of mass that is with each unit model, and Sigvald apparently has higher mass than either of the Skaven characters, and therefore he doesn't get knocked over. But you can't, why I'm talking about the unit design, talking about knockdowns, how dumb it is you can't look at that situation and just intuit how it's going to go. You, for some reason, have to know the statistical number behind every unit in the game. And that's why knockdowns piss me off so much, is because you can't just look, and every time you'll be like, yep, that big bird character will knock over this little character. And the last example for today is Skarsnik. The smallest character out of anyone I have shown you so far today. Skarsnik is smaller than Queek, like in size, in appearance, physical appearance that we are looking at. He is smaller than Squeak, smaller than Skrulk, smaller than Sigvald. Sigvald got knocked over on the charge, but never again. Queek gets knocked over like every other attack. Skrulk gets knocked over about 2 out of every 3 attacks. Our little boy, the goblin here, doesn't even get knocked over on the charge, and he will never get knocked over again. I mean, not even again, just never get knocked over. And I will even cycle charge to prove this point, and that's because I knew this going into this replay. This wasn't a test. Skarsnik, because he has two models, he has himself and Gobla, and the programming on that would have been difficult, neither of them can ever be knocked over. As far as I know, nothing can knock them over in this entire game. Even though squads of Chaos Marauders, like there's 90 of them or so. If you shoot them with a cannonball, some will fall over, some won't. That's in the game, but for some reason, this specific model, neither can ever be knocked over. So it doesn't matter what their size is, it matters what their mass is, and behind the scenes, Skarsnik has, like, incredible mass. It's one of the reasons he's super tanky and all that stuff, but he can't be knocked over. Can't happen. So some lords can be knocked over, some can't, but okay. So as long as you stick to small unit models can be knocked over, and sometimes if there's a janky unit model like Skarsnik and Gobla, just assume that maybe the interaction is going to be special. Right, well now let's go to big monsters. The ROR Gorgon, 2,500 gold of sheer anti-large dueling mastery. Scaling damage, anti-large, armor piercing, all really good stats. It has Frenzy, it has Blood Greed, it has Regen, all these amazing things. And comparing it to the Arachnarok Spider that has anti-large and poison attacks, but it has less health, less melee attack, less melee defense, less weapon strength. It should be losing this fight. But I think every time, the Arachnarok Spider will win this fight. Why? Because for some reason, the Gorgon can get knocked over. It also, again, there's no animation for dealing with it, so he just walks over his opponent, which is kind of weird. The Gorgon gets staggered. Arachnarok doesn't get staggered. Gorgon slaps him. Arachnarok doesn't get staggered. Gets attacked back. But it's unintuitive. You can't look at these models and guess that the Gorgon has a massive problem with getting knocked over, or a big problem with getting stuttered or staggered. You can't guess that for some reason the Arachnarok will almost never get stuttered or staggered, and that it's like impossible for that to happen. You can't look at these two things and know that. You just have to play the game enough to realize that's the case. And it's really annoying. It's not even just on the charge. I think the Gorgon will fall over in a second here if I remember how this battle went correctly. But he's just constantly getting staggered out of his animations. Even that one, he tries to get an attack off. It doesn't stutter the Arachnarok Spider, and it took him so long to get that one attack. The Spider attacked 3 times while he was farting around. And that one, he was mid-attack animation, he got interrupted. So, again, not just to belabor the point, but going into this game, if you didn't know the Gorgon did that, you would say, I have better stats, I'm a better unit, and I'm specifically made to kill this other unit. But because of behind-the-scenes dumb bullshittery, you lose. And that is one of the reasons people can find it hard to get into multiplayer, is because you just need to know literally everything about the game. You need to know every unit's jank, you need to know every unit's little quirks and tricks, and that's not fun for some people. People just want to be able to look at a thing and understand what the hell's going on. Alright, cool. That's the end of that video, hopefully in Warhammer 3. The biggest thing would be, I mean, I've talked about the whole video, but 1, making it more consistent what can and can't get knocked down, and 2, make getting knocked down punishable so it doesn't make certain foot lords unkillable, other foot lords completely useless, and then Sigval just gets to ignore them. So, meh. Knockdowns are dumb.